Hi there. In today's video, I want to show you a console-based soccer game that I've written in Python. So what I'll do is I'll just show you the output, because the challenge with soccer is sometimes you have games that are 0-all, 1-0, 2-0, 4-0. Sometimes you have a blowout, but the challenge was trying to replicate a real soccer game using, within the console. So let me just show you what the output is, then I'll break down how I've written the program. So as you can see, player 2 scored 2 goals, player 1 scored 0. So 2-0, that does reflect a real life soccer game. Let's do a couple more goes. 2-0. There was a draw at full time, then after penalty shootout, that was still a draw. Okay, that's realistic. Let's do another one. 2-0. Yep, that works out. Okay, 5-0. There was a bit of a blowout there. Let's see. 2-0. Let's do a couple more. 2-0. This way, the other way around. 2-1. Okay. Okay, so draw at full time and draw after the penalty shootout. Okay. I just want to keep going. Okay, 6-0. Because I want to see after a draw at full time, then a penalty shootout with one team winning. Okay, so this one was 6-1. 4-3, 2-1. Okay, here we go. Drawn at full time, then there was a penalty shootout. Then 2-1. Okay, great. So we've seen all the different possible outcomes. So as you can see from this program that I've written, when you run the program, it does reflect real life soccer scores. So I'll just show you what I've done within the program. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just show you from top to bottom, then I'll just step through all the code. So the library I'm importing is random, so to generate a random number. So I've also created a player class. Now this player class, it's got the following instances: attack power, midfield power, defensive power, player energy, player confidence, goalkeeping strength, penalty kicks, and player goals. Then there's also a method: attacker boost, midfield boost, defense boost. So the whole idea, let's say with the attacker boost, is the upgraded attack power is the attack power plus a random number. So each time you run the program, the power is might be a little bit different each time, because if two soccer teams play each other, they're not going to have the exact same outcome all the time. So it's good to have that random function just to change things around. Okay. So when we start the game has 90 minutes. I'll go through this in a moment, the actual gameplay. I'll just show you how I kick off everything, okay? So with the player class that I created, player class, there's player 1, player 2, okay? And the start game class that is up here, I've called it kickoff. So kickoff, that start initializes the class. Then to begin the game, we actually use the gameplay method, which is here. So there's start game, there's gameplay. That's a method under the start game class, okay? So I'm just going to scroll through. Okay. So player 1 is of the player class, so is player 2. We initialize the start game class, then we kick off in the gameplay method, and we bring in player 1 and player 2, okay? Okay, so once we go to the gameplay method, so this is a for loop. A for loop will iterate, go in a loop, in this case 90 times, because there's 90 minutes in the soccer game, okay? And when you play a sport or soccer, you're likely to lose energy. As the game goes on, you lose some energy. So each time the loop goes around, player 1 and player 2 could lose between 0 and 1 energy. Okay? So this is what you should do to kind of change the outcomes of each game. So that's when a loop runs. Then it goes to an if statement. So if the player 1 attack boost is greater than the player 2 attack boost, so let's just select this, attack boost. So remember, both players have the same attacking power, but there might be an extra random between 0 to 2. So it could be 80 81 or 82. Okay, let's just remember that. Attack boost. So each game it could be 80, 81, 82. So if this statement becomes true where the player 1 attack boost is greater than the player 2 attack boost, then if this is true, that player 1 midfield boost is greater than player 2 midfield boost, then if that's true, it goes to this line of code. Player 1 defense boost is greater than the player 2 defense boost. Then if this statement is there's an or statement. So if either the player 1 energy is greater than player 2 energy, or if player 1 confidence is greater than player 2 confidence, then a player gets 1 goal, and a player 1 also gets +1 in confidence, and a player 2 loses confidence. Because, you know, if someone scores against you in a soccer game, if you score the goal, you'll probably have more confidence, and if a goal is scored against you, you probably lose some confidence, okay? Now, this line of code is just the opposite, okay? This is, instead of player 1 having greater values than player 2, this is if player 1 values are less than the player 2 values. So it's the same thing, but the less than bracket and greater than bracket here, less than bracket. So exact same thing, but we just reverse it. So assuming the player 2 attack boost is greater than the player 1 attack boost, and the midfield boost, the defense boost, the energy or the player confidence is greater than the player 1's, then player 2 gets 1 goal. The player 1 loses 1 confidence, and player 2 gets confidence. Okay. Now, after this has looped 90 times to represent 90 minutes, if the goals are the same, then a print statement will come out. Drawn at full time, there's now a penalty shootout. So if this statement becomes true, then what happens is, let's look at goalkeeping strength and penalty kicks. I'll come back to this. Let's have a look. Okay, back to the top. So goalkeeping strength is a random number between 80 to 100. And again, penalty kicks is random 80 to 100. So each time you start the program, the goalkeeping strength for penalty kicks is going to be different. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. So if the player 1 penalty kicks is greater than the player 2 penalty kick value, then player 1 gets the goal. Or if this is reversed around, if player 1 goalkeeping strength is less than the player 2 goalkeeping strength, and the penalty kick. So sorry, let me just go over that again. So if the player 1 goalkeeping strength is greater than the player 2 goalkeeping strength, and if that's true, then it goes to, if the player 1 penalty kicks is greater than the player 2 penalty kicks, then player 1 gets a goal. Then this code is just reversed. If player 1 goalkeeping strength is less than the player 2 goalkeeping strength, then if the player 1 penalty kicks is less than player 2 penalty kicks, then player 2 gets a goal. Then kickoff, again, remember kickoff is what we use to initialize the start game, but we also have another hold on, let's bring it up here, method. There's a display result method, okay? So this code that I just went over, this only comes into play if the goals are even after the 90 minutes or the 90 loops, okay? If this is not true, it'll just come here to kick off display result. So at display result, whether it's gone into, whether there's a penalty shootout or not, if the player 1 goals is greater than player 2 goals, it'll print out the following message. If player 1 goals, if player 1 has less goals than player 2, then you have this message. Or if it's a draw after the penalty shootout, it'll print out this statement. Okay, so that's the program. Let's just run it a couple of times. We'll see how we go. Okay, player 1 scored 4, player 2 0. Again, player 1 3, player 2 0. Player 1 scored 2, player 2 0. So 2-0. 4-0. Let's do a couple more. 3-0. Oh, sorry, 3-2. 1-0. See, with this program, oh, there we go. Here, this is a good example. Drawn at full time. There's no penalty shootout. Then after the penalty shootout, player 2 scored 1 goal and player 1 scored 0 goals. So with the way this is programmed, there are many ways you can do this. Now, I'm not really a soccer fan myself. I just wanted to utilize different parts that I've learned from different coding tutorials into something else. I just made this out of my imagination. Also, in a soccer game, you can also add an element where there's penalty time. So after the 90 minutes, it doesn't necessarily go to a penalty shootout. There's usually injury time or penalty time. I think it's injury time. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It depends what happens during the game. So sometimes there's extra time added by the referee after full time. And with the penalty shootout, I think each team gets 5 goes. I'm not sure, but you can actually program this to replicate a soccer game. But ultimately, whatever you do, you're more likely going to have the similar functionality that I've written in this program. Alright, so yeah, I think that's it for this video. Don't forget to like the video, make a comment if you want to, if you have any suggestions, or if you need some help, or if you have other tutorials you want me to make a video about, please let me know. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And yeah, let's leave it at that. Have a good day. Cheers.